What is up, guys? It is AJ. Today's video, we're talking about Shavkat Rakhmonov, who has no opponent for the UFC Vegas 67 fight card, and I highly doubt anyone's going to be willing to jump in on short notice, at least anybody sensible. If there's one guy that would, it would probably be Brian Barberena, but I think he would be murdered in the fight with Shavkat. It was originally supposed to be Jeff Neal, which was honestly a huge fight. I actually love the stylistic matchup. Neal's coming off a beatdown that he gave to a real good fighter in Vicente Luque. I think that Shavkat Rakhmonov, though, is kind of the boogeyman of the weight class. Like, in the back of our minds, I feel like we all know that he's the guy. Maybe the dude to beat Khamzat Chimaev. You guys know I'm a big Khamzat Chimaev fan. I love his style. I think he's an incredible talent. Shavkat Rakhmonov might be his kryptonite, and it wouldn't blow my mind if in 2024 those two throw down and Shavkat beats him. But Shavkat's got to beat somebody with some more name value than just the Neil Magny, who he beat previously. He needs a bigger fight. I would love to see Shavkat fight Gilbert Burns, but Burns is set to fight against Neil Magny in Brazil. Makes sense, though. I don't think Gilbert Burns, after putting up a hell of a fight against Khamzat Chimaev, wants to then get thrown to Shavkat Rakhmonov, and maybe the UFC also doesn't want to match them up, because what if Shavkat just murders Gilbert Burns, and then the Khamzat Chimaev question marks will really start to pop up. But as I look through the rankings, who would fight Shavkat Rakhmonov? On short notice, I'll say it's nobody besides Brian Barberena. He's crazy enough to jump in, but he wouldn't win that fight. But he's got balls, and I got mad respect for it because I know he'd be willing to do it, but it's not going to happen. I'm looking through the top 15, and I'm like, do you give him somebody ranked behind the man he just beat, Neil Magny? Because a name that I don't hate for him is the likes of a Michael Chiesa next. Obviously not optimal, because it's not, that consistent jump up the rankings. But when you look who's in front of Rakhmonov, Vicente Luque. I don't think he wants to fight Shavkat Rakhmonov next, especially coming off a really brutal loss to Jeff Neal. Okay, I look one more up. Number 8 in the division, Sean Brady. Sean Brady doesn't want that work. Sean Brady just got stopped by Belal Muhammad. And now, after taking his first loss, we're going to throw him to Shavkat? He's not going to accept it. I'm telling you, this is the most feared guy at 170 pounds. Jeff Neal was supposed to be the opponent. He's got balls of steel, and Jeff Neal can definitely fight his ass off, and I got mad respect for him taking the fight, but he pulls out. Undisclosed injury. Was some fear starting to creep in? Some doubt? Maybe. Wonderboy Thompson is the most sensible fight, I believe, for Shavkat Rakhmonov. He has a really impressive win over the likes of Jeff Neal. In his last fight, he beat Kevin Holland impressively, and I'd be all open to the idea of those two. But the problem is, Wonderboy is at the point in his career where he doesn't want to fight guys that pose a significant stylistic threat. He wants striking matchups. Personally, my mindset is, if you're ranked 6 in the world, I don't feel like you should be just looking for the perfect stylistic matchups. Like, you're in the rankings. You're holding guys back that are also ranked. Maybe if Wonderboy, we remove him from the rankings at this point and just give him like fun super fights, I don't think you can dodge a Shavkat Rakhmonov, because that's the most sensible fight. Because Jeff Neal 7, I think you give him the guy in front. I would love to see Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and Shavkat Rakhmonov. And I'll tell you this, I think Shavkat would manhandle Wonderboy on the floor. So understandable why he doesn't want the fight. Let's jump to the next guy in front. It's Gilbert Burns. Burns scheduled to fight Neil Magny. The UFC doesn't want to set that fight up, because if Khamzat Chimaev struggled like he did against Gilbert Burns and Shavkat runs through him, the question marks around Khamzat Chimaev's skill set, I think, are going to kind of hinder the stock a bit and kind of end the, this guy's unbeatable mindset, which, granted, the Gilbert Burns performance kind of eliminated our thoughts of Khamzat being invincible, but there's still some belief that he can't be beaten, and he hasn't been yet. Shavkat Rakhmonov might be the guy to do him in. So then I look at number 4 in the world, Belal Muhammad. Belal just impressively beat Sean Brady. He's on an absolute tear. The only fight as of recent that didn't go his way was a no contest against the current champion, Leon Edwards. It would be a punishment to Belal Muhammad to throw him Shavkat Rakhmonov, who's ranked number 10 in the world, in a hard stylistic matchup. But to me, it makes a lot of sense to throw those two at it because I don't see the Khamzat Chimaev-Rakhmonov fight next. I highly doubt a Colby Covington-Rakhmonov fight happens. Belal Muhammad is kind of in that weird no man's land. I don't think him and Chimaev are going to be squaring up. I highly doubt you're going to see him take on the likes of Jeff Neal again. Are they going to rebook that fight? I know Neal has a win over him some time back, but I don't feel like that's a marquee rematch that anyone's interested in. I'm not begging for it. If somebody like, Belal or Jeff Neal ended up beating a Shavkat, sure, let's make that rematch, kind of the stars are aligning for it. But right now, looking at the landscape of the weight class, I think everybody's going to be ducking Shavkat Rakhmonov. So you have an elite guy that's going to find it extremely difficult to find fights. So I like the name Michael Chiesa, a guy, ranked farther back. He's ranked 13. But still a marquee name, still a guy that's done well at lightweight, has done well at welterweight. I think a guy that Shavkat Rakhmonov handles. If you look at Michel Pereira, I do think that could be a potential banger if they ended up throwing that one together. But the problem is when it goes to the floor, Shavkat's going to be levels above. On the feet, I'd like to see them kickbox. Does the Leech get the fight? Li Jingliang? Do we throw him to Shavkat Rakhmonov? It's a very weird spot to be in when you're ranked number 10 in the world and no one wants to fight you. He kind of has that Islam Makhachev effect. I could see Shavkat Rakhmonov's next fight. I'm going to throw a name at you. Rafael Dos Anjos. Is Dos Anjos willing to get sacrificed? Maybe he's delusionally confident that he can beat a Shavkat Rakhmonov. And I mean, the career that Dos Anjos has had, I wouldn't blame him for taking the fight, though. Let's give him some older cats. I don't really want to see Dos Anjos get murdered because I think Shavkat would manhandle him so bad. But that might be the fight that ends up happening. I really feel like everyone ranked in front of Rakhmonov or behind is turning him down. Let's talk about this guy, number 11, Jorge Masvidal. He doesn't want to fight Shavkat Rakhmonov. Rakhmonov is the boogeyman of the weight class, and he's in no man's land. If I had the magic wand and I could just make a matchup happen, I would have leaned towards doing the likes of Belal Muhammad and Shavkat Rakhmonov. I know it's a little bit unfair to Belal, who's on an absolute tear, but he's not going to be fighting anybody in front of him unless they go Chimaev Belal. But I'm hearing they want to do Covington versus Chimaev, and then you hear Chimaev might be moving up to 185. I need Shavkat Rakhmonov to fight in the next 2 to 3 months. If it's not the January 14th card, which I really don't think it's going to be because Neal pulled out, let's see if Neal is willing to give us some information and maybe he's good to go by March. We rebook that fight. Jeff Neal, I want to see him and Shavkat fight. Shavkat's going to run through him. I really feel like Shavkat Rakhmonov is the next guy up. The weight class is in trouble with Shavkat Rakhmonov. They're dodging him while they can. But eventually, someone's going to have to fight him. Belal Muhammad, confident guy, extremely skilled. I think him and Shavkat's a great matchup. If Luque wants to go out there and risk it all against Rakhmonov, a guy ranked just 1 behind him, I'm all for it, though I think Luque will be on a rough losing streak after fighting him. Masvidal, obviously not going to take that fight. I kind of have a feeling he's waiting for that McGregor sweepstakes at this point. The Leech is crazy enough to accept it, but I don't want to see the Leech get killed. Hopefully they can rebook Neal sometime soon. If not Neal, I think we jump him to Belal Muhammad. Gilbert Burns is getting a lighter touch, taking on Neil Magny, who was destroyed by Shavkat. It should have been Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Gilbert Burns. That makes a lot more sense. With Neal pulling out of the fight with Shavkat, they're putting Shavkat in no man's land. Everybody's going to duck him. He might end up fighting someone unranked. Maybe Santiago Ponzinibbio takes the fight and we do that matchup, which I don't want to see Ponzi go out there and have to get worked by Rakhmonov, but somebody has to fight him, and it's got to be someone like towards that top 20 with a little bit of name value. I think Shavkat Rakhmonov's the next big thing, guys. I know it. I see it. I can't describe the feel. It's just, when you see someone. Chimaev, he's got it too. But Rakhmonov is more patient. Khamzat Chimaev is reckless. I think that Khamzat Chimaev is a lot more emotional than a Shavkat Rakhmonov. And a stoic fighter like Rakhmonov, with the skill set that he brings to the table, he's going to terrorize 170. Hold him back now, but I do believe the OV is going to have the belt at 172. And Rakhmonov, the next big thing. Yeah, next matchup. I'm going to say, let's jump him up to Belal, or we're going to find him fighting somebody outside the rankings like a Rafael Dos Anjos or a Ponzinibbio. let's not sacrifice the leech, but I have a bad feeling about that one. Optimal situation is Jeff Neal rebooking later in the year, but not too late, like 3 months from now max, April at the latest. If not, let's jump ahead. Maybe the stars align and Bilal Muhammad's like, let's do it. Let's go to war. If anything happened with Neil Magny, I think Rakhmonov would take the fight against Gilbert Burns on short notice. And I think he'd beat him in Brazil dominantly. For Shavkat, you are the boogeyman and the most feared guy at 170, it seems. I want to see big things from him. I do expect the Chimaev-Rakhmonov fight in 2024. Probably not in 2023 when the stakes are higher. Probably a belt on the line. The UFC would love to make that matchup. Hope you guys enjoyed. Little speculatory video here talking about what could be next for Shavkat Rakhmonov, but it also really turned into a breakdown of Shavkat Rakhmonov versus the entire UFC welterweight division. They're all in trouble. They're all in trouble, from the likes of Leon Edwards, Kamaru Usman, and then all the way down to Li Jingliang. I think Shavkat's taking heads home with him. This guy's a killer. Smash the likes, guys. Let me know what you think of the video in the comments. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. Much love. Thank you all so much. And I will see you all in the next one. Peace, guys.